Hello, this is Craig Mertens. I am the General Manager of GraphicsFlow. Welcome to our inaugural Decorator Academy event. I'm really excited about the topic today. You'll see up on your screen, you'll see the outline of kind of some of the things that we're going to be discussing today. This is available for download via if you're on the live webcast and the handouts, you can download this if you choose to take notes. So we're going to talk about a topic today that's kind of near and dear to me, and just quick little bio on myself and my qualifications for teaching this class. A lot of folks don't realize this, but before I was involved in GraphicsFlow, and I was one of the founders of Digital Art Solutions, I was actually a manufacturer's rep. I did that for 8 years, and I sold primarily into the collegiate sportswear, resort, and corporate environments. And so my job was to basically sell imprinted sportswear to college bookstores, retail entities, gift stores, large corporations. And so graphics were a really, really super important part of my sales process. And prior to that, I pressed my first T-shirt on a heat press in 1970 in the basement of my parents' home in Fargo, North Dakota at the time. And so I've been in this business my whole life, and I can honestly say I've been involved actively in the decorated apparel business for 40 years. And what I mean by that, when I was 15 years old, my parents had a very big screen printing and embroidery business focusing on the college bookstore market and resorts and small businesses. And I was hustling up deals with imprinted apparel with all the intramural teams at school, the after school activities, all the sports teams, and we had a big, very productive, impressive art department. And I basically enrolled them into helping me come up with these cool graphics for all these different groups. And the local sporting goods store that did a lot of the work for my high school did not like me. I can tell you that right now. And the reason is because we had really cool graphics and they were super lazy and they didn't have cool graphics. So I invented a term not too long ago. I called we out-graphicked them. And out-graphicking somebody is being able to produce graphics at a higher level to differentiate yourself from the competition. And one of the neat things about out-graphicking people is it gives you the opportunity to retain your customers. That's cool. We always want to retain our customers, but also get new ones. And we're going to teach you guys a framework today for doing just that. So let's talk a little bit why client engagement is so important. And one of the things that we see in today's marketplace is where do people go to get ideas, right? People are coming to us. They say they have all these ideas. So let's kind of explore that a little bit. We'll do a little bit of web surfing, and we'll pretend we're an end user. And one of the places that they go to get ideas is they're going to go to Etsy. Regardless of how you feel about Etsy, people will go to Etsy and they'll type in a search for soccer t-shirts, right? And when they go to Etsy, they're going to see these ideas. And I've got a kind of a critical eye here, and we'll look at it, and I'll look at these soccer t-shirts, and honestly, I don't see anything on the first page that I'm super impressed with. I think that's pretty decent right there. That's decent. But this is where people are going for ideas. And these are, by the way, I guarantee you, these are just stock transfers that somebody's buying. And I can also guarantee you this is somebody cutting this out like on a Cricut or home-based cutter. There's nothing all that stimulating about these designs. Now let's go and do a quick little Pinterest search, and we'll do soccer t-shirts, right? And we'll see what we can come up with. You could just go to images, 28 soccer shirt ideas. I kind of feel the same way about this page. I'm just not super, honestly impressed with really much of what's going on this page. And this is somebody's Pinterest page. And it happens to be for Rush Order Tees, which is a company that I'm actually familiar with. I don't see anything here that's really knocking my socks off. It looks pretty boring, honestly. But the way your customers are searching for ideas when they're purchasing products, this is how they're doing it. They're going to Facebook, they're going to Pinterest, they're going to Etsy, they're going to go to Custom Ink. We'll go surf up on Custom Ink real quick. That's a very popular website in our space. And they'll go over here to the Custom Ink Design Lab. And I'll let you guys judge what you think of the quality of the artwork that's in here. And we'll type in soccer and see what they have for soccer. There's soccer balls, and they do have designs in here. So we should be able to go in and look at designs. That's all clip art. So add art, change products. You would think, I know there's templates in here somewhere. Let's see here, occupations, maybe we'll go down in here into sports. So you guys seeing the dysfunction that's going on here? I don't know if anybody picked that up. This is really dysfunctional. Why are we sending our clients to these websites to select artwork that we're going to have to do the following things? We are going to have to forensically try to reconstruct some source artwork that they provided, whether we have the skills to do that. Some of these graphics aren't going to be great. They're not going to sell well, so people are going to get stuck with inventory. One of the other things that's going to unfortunately occur is that we have copyright issues. I can't take artwork from, say, this particular website. I can't take artwork from this and use it. I don't own the copyright to that. So we've created a really honestly like a real serious problem and challenge for ourselves. So the way that customers supply us with artwork in many cases is I guess you could qualify it as dysfunctional. Do you want your customer going up and searching the web to come up with ideas for artwork? No, because here's why. Because they might stumble on a website and they might find something that they like, and they might not come back to you. They might just decide to order from Custom Ink, right? So we want to, what we want to do is we want to engage them in a conversation. And here's the part that's a little bit tricky is every human being, and it is a little bit by age group too, every human being has different levels of comfort dealing with people directly. So like my kids who are in their 20s, they just assume just not ever talk to a live human. They're fine doing all their purchasing online. If they're going to order something, they're just going to find a website. They're going to read the first 10 bogus reviews of the product, decide it's great, convince themselves that it's as good as everything else they're seeing, even though it costs less. Why does it cost less? Maybe it's not as good, but the reviews are great, right? So that's how they're wired. That works for them. Me, at my age, I like to kick the tires. I like to see it, touch it, feel it, experience. I like to talk to a salesperson when I buy a car. I like to, do a test drive. That's me. That's just the way I'm. And then there's all the different comfort levels in between. But if we don't get a chance to engage with the customer on, say, graphics, we don't get a chance to sell them. And so everything then just becomes passive. And a company like Custom Ink has built their entire business on being passive. They know that there's entire groups of people that like to design their own shirts online. They don't want to talk to any live human beings. And Custom Ink, I don't know what they spend on search engine optimization a month, but they do national advertising. Now you see them on TV, but it's a good chunk of their marketing budget. And they have very good SEO. So as a result of that, we are always going to have these people in our space that are going to be passive buyers that are not going to want to talk to a live human being. The bummer part about that is that I never get a chance to show them my wares, why I'm different, why I can really service them. Now, here's the thing: some of you folks have, brick and mortar businesses, right? Well, there's unfortunately when the pandemic hit, foot traffic for brick and mortar, that took that changed everything, right? And so being able to rely purely on, word of mouth, or being able to rely purely on, brick and mortar, people walking into the store, that didn't work as well because we just didn't have as much human to human contact. And if you think about it like this, if you were networking on the sidelines of, the softball, games that your kids were involved in, and that's kind of how you were networking with other parents and meeting people, and your kids weren't playing for 18 months, you didn't have that opportunity as well. So utilizing technology to engage your customers and get your hooks into them on graphics, that became kind of a big deal. And that's what we're going to teach you today, is how to use technology to kind of hook your customers on what you're doing, separate yourself from the competition, and really use graphics as, for lack of a better word, your secret weapon. And so I'm going to go ahead and turn off the video, and we're going to spend some time kind of looking at some technology here. So let's go ahead and turn off my face here. There, we'll see you at the end, and we're just going to look at the screen here. And so there's other ways for people to design online, but you have to look at a company like Custom Ink. That is one of your biggest competitors. Custom ink is a big competitor. Now, I know maybe we could do a poll, raise a hand, how many of you have had a customer that has gone in on the custom ink website and designed something, and what's really odd here is like design templates. Here we go. And has come in and designed something and say, can you do this? I don't think I ever talked to a customer that hasn't experienced that at least once. And so let's go down here to sports, and let's pick a design. And I think we were in kind of the soccer category. So this is what they're looking at. And I'm not going to make any judgments about Custom Ink's website. This is a very successful company. They've done very well in the marketplace, but this has become the showroom for our industry. We don't want Custom Ink to be the showroom for our business. We don't. We want to steer clients. And the reason we want to steer clients is there's a couple reasons. Number one, if we steer a client into a graphic, let's say we use, these are graphics collections from GraphicsFlow, and let's say it's holiday season, and this is just a digital catalog into a graphics collection. So if we steer a customer into the graphic, three really positive things are going to occur that are great for our business. Positive thing number one is I know the files are going to be production ready so that it's going to work for my process. These particular files here, they're already color separated. They'll work good for digital printing. If you're going to do, say, vinyl, you can modify the graphic, but I know they're production ready, so I don't have to modify the graphics for my process. And that's a big time saver. The second thing is if they pick one of my stock graphics, I don't have the time and energy put forth into developing something from the ground up. And developing a graphic from the ground up is fine if you have a big order, right? So if you have a big order and it's, I talked to my client the other day, and she had an order for 200 hoodies. I actually helped her with the graphic. I'll show you that graphic we did for her. And spending a little bit of time developing a graphic for a 200-piece order, that was worthy. But can you afford to do that for a 12-piece order or a one-off? No, you can't. If you really get honest with yourself, you're actually losing money in that scenario. But the third thing about being able to kind of steer your client into like a stock graphic, that is to me the most important part of this is it's the level of efficiency. I can produce more, I can produce it quicker at a lower cost. And so how do we go about kind of training and conditioning clients to do this? Because remember, we have that whole graphics dysfunction thing going on, where people are just going online and to Custom Ink and to Etsy and all these other websites and just finding images and screen capturing them. And we have to condition and we have to train our customers to where they look for graphics using our technology. And people do this a variety of ways. One of the ways that people do this in a showroom would be to utilize Instagram. I'll show you a great example of one of my favorite Instagram pages. This is one of our customers, and her name is Jill Clark for All Star Cheer Bling. And this is her showroom. Her showroom is her Instagram account. And one of the things that Jill does, and you notice she's got 16,300 followers. That's a pretty good chunk of followers there. She creates videos. This becomes her video showroom. And she does a little kind of a reveal video when she does new product. Nothing too fancy, but people can really see what she's got going on. She uses hashtags so people can find her, and she builds an Instagram following. And that Instagram following is her showroom, and this is where people get ideas for what they want. Pretty much her entire business is custom. So people see a general idea, and in her space, which is going to be CrossFit, dance, cheerleading, every one of these jobs is going to be custom. So there is quite a bit of work that goes into producing this artwork, but this becomes her showroom. So you can certainly use your social media, whether it's a Facebook gallery or an Instagram, or many people have their Facebook and their Instagram connected. So when I post on my Instagram, I have it set up so if I choose to, I can auto post on Facebook. So this is one way to engage customers and to showcase your tools. But the other thing that people do is they'll create little PDF flyers. I think we've all seen PDF flyers where people use their graphics program and create a little flyer, and they attach that as an email to a customer. But what if there was another way of doing that? What if there was a way to do that that used technology. That's what GraphicsFlow is. And I'm going to show you an alternative way of getting ideas in front of a customer. And we're going to do it in the context of like a case study, like how it would really work in the real world. And the ultimate goal for us, what we really want to accomplish is we want our clients to become dependent on us as a creative resource. Establish yourself as a creative resource. And you know what that does? It helps you lock out the competition, because we're going to out graphic them. And I think in most communities, and this might be true in your community, might not be, but in most communities, there's very well-established businesses. Some of these well-established businesses are brick and mortar, and they've been there forever. Maybe it's a sporting goods store or a local screen printer, and they have just gotten business by virtue of their physical location and convenience, right? It's just easy to just pop into the store and talk to somebody and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? Again, consumer habits have changed. So more people are accustomed to purchasing online. So that's not the big advantage it used to be. The advantage of having a physical brick and mortar location isn't this ginormous, kids like to use that word, it isn't this ginormous advantage as it used to be because of technology. And so now somebody that's small, even a home-based business, or even a big business that's got a sophisticated art department, those people can utilize technology to reach a wider audience. And that's what we're doing here today. I'm reaching a wider audience. We got a good group of people here on the webcast and the live. I'm reaching a wider audience using technology. The technology we're using is GoToWebinar, but GoToWebinar also has a little software called GoToMeeting, and I can do a screen share, a web meeting. Some people use Google Meet. Some people use Zoom. And think about your habits. Were you using all these web conferencing tools all the time 2 years ago? I wasn't. I'd talk to people on the phone or, meet with people on trade shows. I had 8 Google Meet meetings yesterday. Today, I've had 6. That's how I'm reaching my customers. I'm utilizing technology. Well, what if we could utilize technology to reach customers on the graphic side of things? And think about it like this. This is a really super important point. People don't buy t-shirts. They buy the graphic on the t-shirt. And that's also true of promotional items, anything that we're involved in the industry. And so separating ourselves from the competition with graphics is so critically important. I see Loretta on here. And one of the things that we'd worked on a few years ago was she was working on a presentation for a cancer charity. And they had come up with some very vague ideas of what they wanted. And I remember, Loretta, you were having to jump through hoops to get ideas in front of them, and everything was going to be custom. And it was, basically I just told you, said, listen, if we don't, we're gonna have to jump through a lot of hoops and spend a lot of time and energy. And there is no guarantee of us getting an order. What if I could just look through an art depository and just type in the word cancer and come up with hundreds of designs that I could easily modify? Kind of make that easy, make that whole part easy for my customer, right? Making it easy for your customer to purchase from you, sorry. There's a big advantage of that because we're utilizing technology. And if you look at like the way artwork is produced, or how your products are being produced per se, they're being produced from generally 3 types of artwork. Okay, so artwork type number 1, artwork is going to be produced from customer supplied artwork. The client has their logo, they supply you with the logo, you are reproducing the artwork from their logo, you are more or less like pass through, so to speak. So let's say my client provided me with just a simple graphic that they'd already produced themselves, and they wanted me to produce that. Okay, can they get that from other people? Yeah, they can. Is that artwork, is it commoditized? Yeah, in a sense it is, because here's what works against you is, these are some files that customers, this is an actual file that was provided by a client, and they said, can you do this? Okay, this, in my opinion, this file, it's a decent file, needs some rehab, there's some work that needs to be done, but they can take their file to anybody, okay, because it's a commodity. And so when you get a buyer change, this is where it works against you. So you have this particular organization completely wrapped up. You do work for them all the time. You're really bonded up very closely with the buyer. They trust you. They've learned to rely on you. You hit your deadlines. Your quality's good. Everything's great. But that buyer gets promoted or moves to another position, and the new buyer comes in. And maybe the new buyer is younger, and maybe they're more web savvy. And the new buyer comes in, and they start doing a little searching on the internet, and they find another supplier. And they're really only focused on price. And they find another supplier online that's considerably cheaper than you are, and they come back to you and said, hey, listen, I found this other supplier, they're a lot cheaper, can you match the price? And maybe they're quoting $3.20 for a 3-color print on a black t-shirt, and you're looking at it and you're like, I can't make it that cheap. I literally can't make it that cheap. There is nothing you can tell that buyer, and let's say it was $6.25. There's nothing you can tell that buyer that is going to change their mind and convince them that that product that they're getting for cheaper is not the same quality as you're offering. They already have a bias towards that, and they're trying to justify their position and hey, look at me, bosses, look at all the money I'm saving the company. So when the graphics are portable like this, meaning they can take this graphic over to another supplier, I don't want to say easy come, easy go, because that's not the right terminology, but there is what we call a concentration risk, which is, we got all this business concentrated into one area, and we lose one of our big customers because they shopped us to a competitor. You know what? That's a bummer, because now we have to, that's a technical term, that's a bummer because now we have to go and find a new customer to replace that volume. So we want this type of business. We want that kind of logos on stuff and reproduction business, because it is fundamental to our business and our bottom line. But we don't want our whole business built on that, because it is portable. And now in the days of internet research and direct sourcing and Alibaba and all these other things, you can lose customers when you get buyer changes, or people just decide to, say, hey, I'm a corporation, I want to shave off a few dollars, and I'm just going to kind of quote you out and bid you out. Or it's a school situation where they're bidding on the prices of products. That's a tricky place to be. So that's one way that artwork is generated and created in our industry. The other way is what I call from the ground up, not ground up, but from the ground up custom work, where the customer has a vague idea of what they want. They have a vision, and in that vision, they're going to communicate that vision to you. They might provide you with some source artwork, and you're going to have to jump through hoops to create a custom graphic for them. And I'll show you an example of what we mean by that. This is a design that was provided to me by a customer. That this is the source artwork that the customer provided to me, and she goes, this is what they're looking for. And I was like, wow, I mean, that actually takes some real graphic skills to be able to produce that. Now, fortunately for me, I have the graphic skills to do this kind of work. Okay, I can do this. That's not particularly challenging for me. A little bit of time-consuming thing. There was 200. This is a 200-piece order, so it was certainly worthy of doing that. But this was their vision. This is custom, and quite honestly, this client did not have the graphic skills to do that. And if she didn't have access to somebody like me or a graphic designer in-house, I don't believe that she'd have been able to do that. And so here's what we did. I took a template, and in that template, what I did is I just basically modified it and did a little bit of Mr. Potato Head action. And I'll show you the template I started with. You won't even recognize it. So I went into my GraphicsFlow account, and we'll explain a little bit more about what GraphicsFlow is in a little bit, but I went in here and I typed in the word champion just to see what I had. And I wanted to see what I had for championship designs. And I actually kind of saw this design, and I said, there's some of the parts that we need for our graphic are in here. I like the font, I like this bar, that would be a good place for the conference part. Wasn't really going to use the Bronco there, but I did like the fonts, and I like the fact that the word champions was there. And then what I did is I just went in and took that template, parted it out, changed the colors. We had a photograph. She emailed me over the photograph, and this is what we came up with. Not too bad. So I applied a text effect to this. We put a little bevel effect on that. I created paragraph text and we copy and pasted the school names in. We added a gradient effect to this. This is the school. We wanted it to have kind of a blue hue to it. So I put a lens effect over that. That made it look a little bit more like of a blue hue. She has a direct-to-garment printer. She was printing, she was done. But the thing is, she had an artist or somebody that has graphic design capabilities that has the skill set to do that. And we did this project together. And I did it more as a training exercise because I knew I was going to use this in my class today. Sorry. But the thing is, not everybody has, this level of, experience or skill or access to, somebody on staff that can do that. And so in this particular case, the client was, I don't want to say helpless, but was really kind of in a pinch. And she had 200 shirts to print, right? Which she's printing them all day today. That's all she's going to do. So that's that second type of artwork, which is, kind of that from the ground up custom. And that can be your least profitable artwork when you're working with your customers if you don't have big enough orders, or more importantly, reorders. Reorders, it's all, if it's one and done, your production costs and time are fixed, right? So if you have, 3 hours worth of art time and you value your art time at $50 an hour, that's $150 worth of art time, and you have a 100-piece order, that's going to be amortized over a 100-piece order. Your art development costs are going to be half of that when you have a 200-piece order, right? So per shirt, it's half. So, doing this customized artwork makes sense when you have bigger orders, but it definitely doesn't make sense when you have smaller orders. And, that's, a lot of times people, when they kind of just get honest with themselves, are like, yeah, I spent all this time and energy on these graphics, and I get these small orders, and I don't know, am I really even making any money off of this? You don't know. And you do have to learn to value your time, because you know what, customers don't, your clients don't value your time. Your clients think that artwork and graphics just fall off the tree, that this happen magically. They don't realize that it takes human intervention and some talent and ability to create a graphic. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create a championship graphic. We're going to use kind of a case study, and I'm going to talk about kind of my sales process, what I would do in terms of communicating with that client, like in terms of a sales call. So first thing I would do is, number one, if I know that the high school team is playing a game next week, and if they win that game, they're conference champions, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put some conference champion designs together. I'm going to get them in front of the customer, and I'm going to send over an email, and I'm going to back it with the phone call, even though I know I'm not going to get the coach or the booster parent on the line. I'm just going to reach out to them via email and a phone call and say, hey, coach, hey, booster Fred, I know we're playing next Friday. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but it looks like if we win this game, we're conference champion, and it's going to create some great opportunities to do some merch. So I'm going to send some ideas over to you that you can look at, and tell me which one you want, and we'll do a contingency order, meaning if they win, we'll start printing. If not, no big deal. But we'll get a contingency order set up so that if the team wins, that we can start printing. And so I would leave a quick message if I could talk to the customer about that. I'd love to talk to them. But that same data is going into an email. And when I send the email, I'm actually going to include some artwork in that. And so what artwork might I include? Well, here's the thing. Maybe I've done other championship designs in the past, and maybe I did some other championship designs, and I want to get one of those championship designs in front of the customer and say, hey, this is some work I've done from other people. So GraphicsFlow, it's a web app. GraphicsFlow, it's an app that I can load on my computer, my Mac, my Windows, my iPad, my iPhone, my Android tablet, my Android phone. We need an internet connection and a browser. That's it. So in my GraphicsFlow account, if I was to go and upload artwork, and I have common graphics formats, so in this case, these are all just the same graphics file, but maybe this was a championship design you've done before. Notice I have a high resolution, beautiful preview here. This is an Adobe Illustrator file. Here's my Pantone colors, which I've attached. Here's the imprint type I've selected. Here is my printing dimensions. Here's keywords that I've affixed to this design. I'll go ahead and change to list view. And so if I need to find a design and click on it, to locate it and I want to start editing this Adobe Illustrator file right in Illustrator, I can just download this and have it open into Illustrator. If I'm a Corel user and I want to start editing this file, just hit download, pops into Coreldraw. I'm using the Smart Designer add-on software for Corel, so it's pretty easy to edit this. I would just go over here and highlight this, change this to Cougars. You guys see what I'm doing? So the one thing that I think is very, very useful when you're working with new customers is showing them your work, your portfolio. One of the things that I feel like a lot of our clients fail to do, and I think it's just fundamental in the decorated apparel and personalization business, is showcase their work. If you've been in this business for any period of time, you've created a lot of jobs. You should be taking photos of those real printed products. You should be creating virtual samples. You should be storing that artwork. You should be cataloging it, because the best way to establish yourself as a creative resource to your customers is show work that you've done for other people. And here's a little trick that I learned when I was a manufacturer's rep. When I was going in and working on opening up new accounts, and I would go into that account with my rolling rack with a physical meeting, and my rolling rack had 4 sample bags on it. It had hundreds of printed samples with different graphics. Okay, if that graphic said University of Southern California, that buyer didn't know if I did business with USC or not. They just saw the USC on there and they assumed I was doing business with USC. Now, we did business with USC, but let's say you create some virtual samples for graphics for different schools in your area and you present them. The assumption is going to be made on the part of the buyer that you're working with these people. It lends you additional credibility. So your portfolio of work that you've created over the years, guess what it's doing? It's lending you credibility, and people are seeing, oh, they're working with this small business. Oh, they're working with this church. Oh, they're working with this school group. Instant credibility. And showcasing your body of work is really important. Now, where that's a little tricky is if you're brand new and you don't have that body of work. That doesn't mean you can't still create virtual samples before you even have an order. You absolutely, positively should be doing that and can be doing that. Now, it's going to be dependent upon whether, the level of your skill set, okay, in terms of doing graphics, but showcasing your work is really important. And so in GraphicsFlow, what we did is we just set it up so not only can you upload your files and they're safely and securely stored in the cloud, but that you can share them with customers by virtue of creating what's called an art approval. And then the other thing that's really nice is you can share them with your coworkers and they can just download a file if they need to edit it. So in this case, what we want to do is we want to create a sales campaign for championship. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to create an art approval. And I'm using my GraphicsFlow platform and the art approval function. And we're going to call this Conference Champion. Conference Champions Concepts. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a description right here. And I'm going to say, here is a gallery of championship designs. Please comment on any design you would like me to mock up. All right, easy enough. And I'm going to add that coach here and maybe have a booster parent that needs to be added. So I'm going to add the coach. I'm going to make the coach an approver. And I'm going to put a little message right here. This is the body of my email right here. Coach, please pick your favorite design. And this is going to be a follow-up email. So they're knowing this is going to be coming. You've already sent them an email. They know you're going to send them some designs over. And I'm setting up this coach as an approver. I could set up the booster parent as a commenter, so they can't approve, but they can certainly comment. And so we're going to send that invite over there. This link right here is a static link. We will copy that into the live chat. So you folks that are in the live chat, you can follow the progress of this page. You can actually log into this page. That's kind of cool. But you can't comment. So you can see, but you can't comment. Now bear in mind, we haven't added any artwork to this yet. So we're going to come over here and I'm going to go in and go to either my art, some work that I've already created, and maybe come in here and pull up one of my designs. Or I'm going to go to stock art and I'm just going to type in the word championship or champion. And if this is football, I might focus purely on football designs. So I might focus on some football designs, some general designs. I don't, some of these are kind of generic in nature. In my, way of thinking, I don't see a design as specific to a sport. I see a design as a placeholder, and I could easily change these into another sport if I chose to. But we're going to pick just specifically football championship designs in here. Okay. And we're just going to go in here and pick a bunch of designs, and you would try to keep these designs kind of, down to a minimum. I might pick my top 10. So I'm going to pick quite a few designs in here. We're going to go ahead and add those in here. And we've created a showcase. Now, if there's a specific design that I kind of want to steer my client into, I might put that towards the top. So if I have some favorites that I really like, I might put those towards the top so they can really see those favorite designs, so to speak. And the way that I can do that is just simply by reordering the designs. Pretty straightforward. I'm going to come over here and pick one that I like, and we're going to push. Actually, kind of dig that one. That one's good. We'll come back. I do like the Broncos design, so we're gonna move that up to the top because this one's got a lot of potential. Okay, so this one's got a lot of potential, and then what we're going to do here is put any kind of description that we want to put in on the graphic, and the coach is going to get this email, and what they're going to do is they're going to either email me back or they're going to click on the little commenting field and tell me which one they want. So they get this right here. I'm going to change the background color on this real quick, so I'm going to put it on black to see what it looks like. So I can do that right in my graphics flow. Here, we'll go over here, put that on black real quick. And so they're able to see this. So the coach gets this art approval. Ooh, looks terrible on black. Too dark. And we're going to come down here and we're going to do this on like a medium gray. I think it'll look better. Yeah, much better. So the coach sees this and they're like, yep, this would work. Can you put our helmet, can you put a football helmet in there? Change it to our colors. So like this one. Can you change it to our colors and drop a helmet in there? Boom. I just got an email. I also got messaged in the app, and when I hit sure, give me a few minutes, guess what? They're getting an email and they're messaged in the app as well because they're logged into the app on this page. This page is a page within the app and they're actually logged in. So for those of you that have clicked on the link and they're logged in, you're following all this in real time. So what I would do now that I know this is the graphic, I would simply download this, and I would download it as one of two formats. If I'm an Adobe Illustrator user, what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this as an AI file. If you're a GraphicsFlow member, you would already have all the fonts installed. You can just go in, ungroup the file, change the text, recolor it, boom, you're done. If you're a Coreldraw user, you're going to download it as a Coreldraw file. In the case of this particular file, I have my GraphicsFlow account configured, so it's just going to open the file up, and then I would edit it. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on download here, and this file is going to download. It's just going to pop into Coreldraw, and then I'm going to go and initiate my editing. Okay, so if anybody that's ever edited a file in Illustrator, Corel knows, these are all just layers, and you can just go in and change the text. Now I'm going to do it a little bit differently because I'm running a supplementary program to Coreldraw that's called Smart Designer. This is a program that our precursor company, Digital Art Solutions, is very famous for. This is a program that simplifies and automates the process of creating a graphic in Coreldraw. So it's going to be more automated for me. And so the one thing I'm going to do here is just refresh the text here, and we're going to change this. And so I'm going to change the word Broncos to Cougars. I'm going to spell it right. And then fear be feared, we're going to change that to conference champs right here. And whatever our conference is, we'll say conference champs. And then over here, I'm going to go over here and change this to the year. So where it says champions, I'm going to change that to 2021. Now, I'm going to stay right here where I'm at. I don't really have to change much of anything, but I do want to make this a little bit more interesting, a little bit more dynamic. And Coach did request having a football helmet in here. So one thing I am going to do is I'm going to go back to my clip art. And I think I want to kind of, with the helmet, I'm thinking about going kind of retro with the helmet. So I'm going to go back to my clip art library in GraphicsFlow. And by the way, all these fonts are already installed. As we have hundreds of fonts, and you download and install the master font set. So we're going to go over here and we're just going to type in football helmet. And I'm going to find that very specific type of helmet that I'm interested in. And I'm kind of feeling like I wanted to go like kind of like an old school retro helmet would be kind of fun. I kind of like this one right here. And so I'm going to download that as well. So we're going to download that file as well. And this is going to become the helmet that we're going to use in this design here. So what's going to happen is we're going to get rid of this guy. We're going to put the helmet in here. And then we do have a bit of a mismatch of colors that we're going to have to deal with. Okay. So most folks, pretty easy to recolor this. If you're using Corel or Illustrator, you could do it this way. Like I could use the little dropper here to go in and select some colors and go that way. So that would be one way of doing it. So pretty easy to recolor this. And the reason it's easy to recolor this design is because of the way the artwork was constructed. This artwork, the way it's constructed, is all built in layers because we built all the artwork in layers, but I think this is looking pretty good. Then I think the helmet's a little too big. So I'm going to make the helmet a little bit too big. And the colors for this particular team are kind of LSU colors. They're purple and kind of an old gold. So I could go over to my color palettes over here and recolor it, but I'm using Smart Designer, so we're going to cheat a little bit. So I'm going to go over here to change art, and actually we've already done that. We're going to go to edit colors, and here's the colors in the design, and I'm just going to swap this color out with, I'm actually going to swap the blue with the old gold. We'll see what we like on that. We'll either love it or we'll hate it. So we're going to kind of go in here into the golds and find the kind of the old gold color that we're going to use, and maybe a little bit lighter. There we go. We could click on it like that and change that, or we could change this to the purple. Not bad. And then we could also just drag and drop color in here too. Up to us how we want to do it. So we've got the colors, and then what I would probably do here is I'd play around with the colors till I kind of get it exactly what I want. The shirt color is going to be a Oxford gray, so that's a fun little color to work with. And one of the things that I think that would be good is on the helmet here, maybe taking this color right here and making the border of the helmet that gold to pop it a little bit. Yeah, it looks good. So here's the thing, it's a nice graphic. It's a little bit flat. I think it needs some, like maybe a text effect in here to kind of bring it to life a little bit. So I might want to add an effect to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add an effect, and the effect is going to be dictated based on the type of printing I'm doing. So if I'm going to screen print this, right now this is a 2-color design. It's actually 3 with white. So if I'm going to screen print it, I'm going to try to keep the artwork simpler for screen printing. Now, if I had a direct-to-garment printer or a direct-to-film printer or sublimation, then I don't really have to be concerned about the number of colors. But we are going to add a little text effect to this, and I'm going to go over here into the Smart Designer software, and we'll add that effect. So we'll just come over here to Effects, and I'll go to Outline Effects, and just depends on what I'm doing. So if I'm doing something that's going to be more like digital, I might add an effect like that, okay, something that's more dynamic. But if I'm going to be more traditional with like a screen printed or a screen printed transfer, I'm going to use more of a traditional effect like this. And so I'm just going to go over here and we're gonna apply that effect there. And then I'm just gonna make this color right here, same gold. So we're just gonna take that outline there and leave the inner part white and the outer part is gonna be gold. So I think it looks good. So let's get this saved. So since we're having this fun with the conference champs, let's change this to, let's do this right here. So let's change this to CHS. Actually, let's do this. Let's change this to central. Why not? Put it right on the helmet. There you go. So now you got the name of the school in there too. So there you go. Central Cougars, SWAC Conference Champs 2021. Okay, so let's save it. So we're going to save this file, and we're going to save all of the contents for this particular file all in the same location. So I'm just going to make a little folder here on my desktop. We'll call it Central Cougars. And I have this file, but you know, the thing is we want to get this mocked up so that the coach can actually see what it's going to look like on that particular feature, our product. So what most people would do is they would go to the manufacturer's website and they would download a product blank of that particular color, t-shirt, and make, model, and they would use that to create a mock-up. Now, what I would do would be a little bit different because I would automate that process. So if I'm using the Smart Designer software, I just go over to virtual samples, and we have hundreds of pre-built products that are built in there. And I would just go down and I would find the shirt that I want. In this case, I'm in my SAMR folder, and I just want to add just kind of a good old-fashioned Oxford gray t-shirt. So I'm just gonna click on that t-shirt, and that's gonna pop up. Looks pretty good. I think everything looks better with the weathered effect. So let's make this a little bit bigger and move it up here, and maybe try it with the weathered effect, see what we think. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click on this little button right here. I'm in the Smart Designer software, and I'm going to go to Weathered Effects, and I'm going to click on this dropper to sample the shirt color. And the effect that I'm going to do is like a jersey knit, so it looks kind of like it's mesh. That might be fun, and let's see if we like it. I do like it. There you go. So now we got a fake mesh jersey deal going on there for our weathered effect. And if we don't like that one, we could try a different one. It's up to us. So I like the mesh one better. There you go. Okay, so this is what we're going to propose to the group. So bear in mind, we're doing this as a contingency order. We don't have an order yet. We are trying to get the graphic nailed down and get the order pre-booked because I need time to order the blanks to begin doing the shipping. We're going to get back to the whole supplier shortage thing here in a bit, but we're going to save this mock-up here too. And this is going to go to our central folder, and let's see, we're going to rename this file. We're going to call that what? Central Champs. And then we'll name this one Central Champs Oxford T. Okay, so there's our design. Now for web, if I want to save this on the web and have a really nice high resolution image, what I want to do, the best format for displaying this on the web is going to be a PNG file. And so what I'm going to do for web, I'm going to save a PNG version of this format because it's going to be a really nice high resolution image I can save on the web. And one of the other nice byproducts of a PNG file is it can have transparent background. So this one, we're going to save that as a PNG as well, and we're going to save it with a transparent background. So in Corel or Illustrator, when you save PNG files, you just want to check transparency so the background is knocked out. So we have all the art assets all locally saved on my computer, and that's great unless my computer fails. And if my computer fails and I haven't had these backed up or they're not on a server, I'm out all that artwork. So what I'm going to do is safely and securely store them in the cloud by creating a folder, Central Cougar Conference Champs. And I'm going to upload all the art assets for that particular job into this folder. So I'm just going to say upload. And now all these files, not only are all these files safely and securely stored in the cloud, which is awesome, but I can share them with my coworkers. So anybody that's on my GraphicsFlow account that's logged in there, they can grab these files. They can download them, they can start editing. We can go straight to production. The production department can grab that CDR file and print out film, go right to production. And then I can also comment to my coworkers that it's been approved and hey, it's time to burn screens. So there's all my art files. And so what I want to do now is I want to get this set of files in front of the coach because they've already picked the design. So I would do another art approval and I would just say, hey, listen, let's do the final concepts, conference champs, proof. Go to my art, pick the two files. I'm going to pick the PNG versions and I'm going to subscribe the coach to this particular proof. We'll let you guys have access to this one too. So we'll put this in the chat for all you folks on the live chat. You guys can play with this one as well. All right. So coach is going to get this proof. Coach is going to go in there and say, yep, looks good. But here's the thing. I've had problems with coach in the past. And the problems I've had with coach in the past is I've done these great graphics for coach and he has gone and shopped it around to other vendors because he's got some buddy that's in the business and that buddy's out of state. So it's not as big a challenge because his buddy's out of state and we can, respond really quickly to this order because we're local, but I don't want to take any chance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this graphic and I'm going to go over here and I'm going to change the background color so it kind of matches the shirt color that we did. And I'm going to put a watermark in here. And the watermark color is going to be based on the background color of the shirt. And in this case, I could do a light watermark or I could do a dark watermark. It's kind of up to me. And one will definitely look better than the other. So if we come over here, I think the light one looks really good. And the dark one is probably going to be about the same on this one. I think I like the light one. And this is a deterrent for number one is we've created a deterrent for them thinking that they can just take the artwork over and steal it. Number two, we created a legally binding copyright just by simply stamping this into the file because this is actually now part of a document that says copyright that's logged. It's in my system. If I ever had any legal problems, I could come back to this because what's going to happen when the coach goes and approves this, coach is going to have to go and click through a disclaimer. So I'm just going to approve it, and they got to click through my disclaimer. And my disclaimer says, hey, we strive to display as accurately as possible the colors of products shown on this website due to the inconsistencies of various display monitors. Colors you see on your screen may not be totally accurate reproduction of the actual product. Screen images are intended as a guide only and should not be regarded as absolutely correct. When approving, you're acknowledging this fact and waive any claim of dissatisfaction due to color. That's fine. But the bigger thing is all designs represented on this artwork showcase are the intellectual property of Craig's Creations LLC. You're welcome to comment on any of the designs, but you're not permitted to take these designs to other vendors due to copyright restrictions. So coach is having to click on this. And so even if the coach doesn't read it, if we have problems in the future, we can come back and say, hey, coach, you clicked on this and acknowledge that you don't have access to this artwork. And there's an email that coach got that affirms that. And also I got an email that affirms that. And also it's going to show up in here as approved. I'm going to archive this. So I have that date and time stamped. I'm going to archive it. And so if I need to come back later on and go to my archive to kind of prove that point, I'm going to go back into my archive. I'm going to pull that up and I'm going to say, hey, listen, you can't have this artwork. I did this artwork for you and, I own the copyrights to that, not you. So this is how we're going to get the artwork in front of the customer. and then we're going to get a contingency order. We're going to book an order, and we're going to, probably get on the phone or by email, and we say, hey, let's get 200 shirts ordered. Let's pick your size range. You need to give me a little bit of flexibility in terms of the quality level and the manufacturer, because it's hard to get goods right now. And you book your contingency order. The team wins. You start printing. Team loses. Guess what? Better luck next year. But you would not have that order if you hadn't gone through this exercise. And what drove this entire order was the graphic. The graphic drove the entire order. It was the graphic that allowed me to get my hooks into the customer and start the collaboration process. It was the graphic that got me over the hump so that we're in a position to begin production. We don't have to do any work. We have a piece of artwork now that's production ready, that's ready to go, and this facilitated it. And so how do I know this works? Here's how I know this works, because when we had our screen printing business, and a big portion of our business was college football bowl season. And during bowl season, if you didn't book contingency orders, you got shut out. So when the University of Colorado won the Orange Bowl in 1988, or excuse me, it was 1989, or went to the Orange Bowl in 1989, guess who was positioned perfectly to do the printing for the University of Colorado? It was me. Because we'd already done the graphics, we'd already gotten them approved, we'd already did contingency orders with all the buyers, and then University of Colorado played Notre Dame, they lost to them, we didn't get to do national championship shirts, so all the contingency orders went right in the trash. And then the next year, guess what? University of Colorado won the national championship, and I got to ship $500,000 worth of t-shirts within 2 weeks, which was amazing. And so the ability to get the artwork handled not only allowed me to secure the order, but it created this basically relationship where I'm the creative resource to this buyer, and now they're connected to me and they're learning to rely on me as this resource, because I'm going to take care of all their graphic needs. And it's the difference between that approach in your business versus the approach of, yeah, just go find something on the internet. I mean, that's crazy to me personally, because of my background as a manufacturer's rep and in a background in working in a screen printing and embroidery business. It's crazy to me to think that people would, in this day and age, would do that. I want to control every aspect of the artwork and the customer relationship. And so by being able to initiate the artwork, get it in front of the customer, move them in an efficient way through the process, we can control the whole thing, and ultimately we get an order. Now, here's the thing. Every human being has a different tolerance for prospecting, right? Because this, in a sense, this is a prospecting campaign. This can have as much physical interactivity as you choose. You could do this whole thing by email. You would never have to talk to the customer. You could do this whole thing by email. My style would be a hybrid. I'd want to have some emailing and use some technology, but also I might want to have a conversation with the coach. But I'm going to use the art approval to kind of open the conversation, because here's the thing. This coach might also be getting pursued by other people, right? And so, we have given ourselves a competitive edge. And I know as soon as I get that person that's making that purchasing decision, or that group of individuals, as soon as I get them interacting with me, guess what I know? I've got them, because now they're ego invested. So they're ego invested because they're contributing to what it's going to look like, right? And as soon as I got them ego invested, they got to buy from me. And you know what we haven't discussed yet at all? Not one conversation is price, because we don't have to. We don't have to talk to price. When we're collaborating on the graphic, the pricing is going to be the last thing that we talk about, because I already got them on the hooked on the graphics, and the assumption is that they have to buy from me. I'm going to give them a good price. If they've dealt with me in the past, they know, that I'm going to treat them fairly. But we're not going to have that price discussion until after we get everything moving on the artwork. That's when we're going to decide what quality of shirt we're going to print it on. Maybe the ultimate color. Are we going to do an ash gray, or are we going to do an Oxford gray? So that price conversation comes later. That price conversation comes after we get the artwork handled. And that's what I learned as a manufacturer's rep, because I would get people hooked on the graphics first. That was the first step. So this is a very typical kind of a case study where we'd use technology as a prospecting tool. And so some of the other things that you could do is you could have set up a Zoom meeting to go through and do a screen share, just like I'm doing with you guys, We could have set up a Zoom meeting and do a screen share, and right there live on the screen, if you have some graphic skills, you could go in there and make some of the changes to the graphics. That's an amazing tool to be able to do, is to be able to do it right there live on the screen. Not everybody has the skills or the comfort level to do that, but I can tell you right now, if I was going out in the market again and I wasn't having to compete in the marketplace, I would absolutely be doing that, because I know that there is a certain amount of novelty to that, but also it just creates this connectivity between two human beings, and that other human being becomes a little bit ego invested because of their contribution to the idea, right? So that's a very typical workflow. So let's talk a little bit about, I'm kind of going back and recapping a few things. Engage your clients with graphics. That is one of the most powerful tools that you currently have in your repertoire, is using graphics to differentiate yourself. Streamline the art selection process. Make it easier for them. Don't have them just going out and randomly finding things on the internet that you have to forensically reconstruct and deal with all the copyright stuff. Get ideas in front of them, get them involved in a process of selecting a graphic, and then use proofing to finalize it. Lock out the competition without graphicing them. Everybody, it's easy to sit around and moan and complain about your competitors, because we all have to deal with competitors, but it's another thing to take action and use strategic thinking to go in and put in place a strategy that makes it hard for your competitors to compete with you. And graphics is a huge part of that. Establish yourself as a creative resource. I had my customer Allison was on a webcast last summer, and one of the questions was asked about, what do you do when people say, hey, I can get $1 cheaper, and then she basically just said, hey, listen, I just tell my clients, hey, if you want to have access to my creativity and all these great graphics and things that I'm always coming up with you, then that's the part of the service that I offer you. If you're just only concerned about price, you're going to not have access to my creativity, and maybe you can find somebody else that can do some graphics for you, but I'm always going to be here waiting for you when you come back. And she says she rarely loses a customer, because she has that kind of upfront contract with them, which is, hey, if you like what you see, you got to buy it from me. So she establishes value for her creative ability. So on art approvals, we're not only going to use art approvals as a proofing process, but we're going to use art approvals as a way to showcase what we're doing, showcase ideas from past jobs that we've done for people. And because this job that we just did, this is going to be a sample for a future job. So next year, maybe the competitor team wins the state conference championship, or maybe they win state and we show them examples of things that we did in previous years for championship. We want to efficiently move clients through the graphics process. We don't want all this miscommunication with layers of emails and PDF attachments that go into the trash folder, and who said what. Everybody's collaborating on the same art approval. All notes are in one place. All approvals are in one place. All art is in one place. It's not like a whole string of emails that we're trying to trace down. And it's archived so we can get back to it. Proof twice, print once. I was looking at that design, and I was looking at it, and I looked over at the comments, and I wanted to make sure that I spelled the word conference right, because it's an easy word to misspell. And I did a webcast a few weeks ago where I did a massive typo, and I looked over at the comments, and everybody's like, you misspelled blah, blah. There was like 30 comments. It was kind of funny. But, proof twice, print once. The customer has signed off ultimately on the design. If there's an issue, there obviously will be some degree of shared responsibility, but if there's an issue, guess what? It's ultimately their problem, because they signed off and they approved it, and we have that documentation. And what you want to do, and the thing that I feel incredibly strongly about, is you make it convenient for your clients to work with you. Whatever you have to do to make it convenient for your customers to work with you, you take those steps, because you want it to be a joy for them to work with you. You don't want to create barriers. You want to be a creative resource to them. You want to position yourself professionally. Even if you're a small company, you want to position yourself professionally. And it was interesting to me, a customer last week, she said, so basically what you're saying is you're making me look like a bigger deal than I already am. And I told her, I said, listen, we're not making you look like a bigger deal than you already are. We're making you into a big deal, because you now have a graphics capability that's elite, that the top companies in our industry have. you have an elite graphics capability. Now, bear in mind, you're leaning on our technology and all these wonderful designs and things that we do, but that's really what it's all about, and differentiating yourself from the competition. So let's talk a little bit about the supplier shortage, and then I'm going to sneak peek something that's really exciting, and I'll share something with you guys that's really exciting. One of the challenges that, now that we do have this supplier shortage is getting the artwork done ahead of time. One of the things that's going to allow you to do is buy you a little bit of lead time to get all the blanks in. If we wait to the last minute to do the artwork and then it becomes a mad scramble, we've shortened that lead time, and you can spend a lot of time on the phone trying to track down blanks. 2 years ago, you're going to ask the client, hey, what brand do you want? What level of that brand do you want? Now you're going to say, you're not going to say what brand do you want. You're not even going to say what quality level. You're going to say what color do you want, right? If you need to get a double extra large black t-shirt in the United States of America right now, good luck with that. So what we want to do is we want to limit our offering. We don't want to offer such a broad scope of product. We are going to offer a 100% cotton t-shirt, medium weight. We're going to offer 100% polyester performance wear t-shirt. We're going to offer a hoodie, and that gives us flexibility to move between vendors to fulfill the order. So right now, limiting your offering is a really good move. Also, steering your clients into more deliverable products. If you know there's a shortage on piqué polo shirts, but you know that you can get interlock shirts readily available, then steer them into an interlock shirt by creating a price differential between the two. Yeah, I can do the piqué, are hard to get, but if we do this interlock shirt, it's $2 cheaper, and I know I can deliver it to you. Set realistic delivery expectations. That's a hard one because everybody wants to people please. And a lot of our clients have been conditioned to short turnaround times because we had the luxury in the past of having this wonderful level of supply from the blank wholesale suppliers, and that had multiple warehouses that were brimming with inventory. We don't have that anymore. And so you have to have that conversation with your client that, hey, I am going to need 2 weeks or 3 weeks in order to fulfill your order. I can't do it in 4 or 5 days. And I shared this with other webcasts. One of my clients was sharing with me what he uses his art approvals to do as a prospecting tool to go proactively to his customers. And he does a lot in the school team and sports marketplace, and a lot of those orders kind of pile up on themselves in August and July. And so in May, he started going out using his art approvals feature in his GraphicsFlow account. He went out and said, hey, I'm going to target my top 85 accounts. I'm going to send them designs. I'm going to say, this is what you did last year. Here's 5 new designs for this year. Pick your favorite. I'll mock it up. And he said this miraculous thing happened. Number one, he got his orders in earlier so he could plan his inventory out. Number two, it didn't crush his cash flow because he had everything hitting at the same time. But he said the most important thing it did for him is it pushed the competition out. He locked out his competition because the early bird gets the worm, right? So, setting realistic expectations as to delivery isn't one thing, but conditioning your clients to provide you with more lead time, telling them, hey, I need more time to get this accomplished. And I understand we're always fearful that people are going to take it over to somebody else. But I think you'll find that if you're just straightforward and upfront with people about, what's really happening in the industry, that there's a supply shortage, people know that. People know that there's products that are difficult to get right now. And if you use that as, kind of an empathy point, we're saying, hey, we're all in this together, but let's kind of work together to solve this problem. I think it can create a little bit of a bond between you and the customer too. And that's a human moment that builds relationships and ultimately builds loyalty. And that's a huge big deal. Loyalty is massive, right? So this is the strategy I'm teaching you guys, and you're welcome to go back and watch the webcast. But I'd really like you at your own level and at some methodology using the tools you already have in your repertoire, whatever those might be, your graphics program and other graphics collections you have, or your own creativity. But I challenge you to implement this strategy with the customer, and you'll be surprised at how well it works. And like anything else that human beings do, if something feels good and it's effective, they'll repeat it, right? This is how I built my whole business when I was a manufacturer's rep. This is just the modern way of doing it, utilizing technology. And that's what GraphicsFlow is all about. So I promised you I'd show you something really exciting. We're going to end by this. I'm going to give you guys a sneak peek. So in our GraphicsFlow account, we have thousands of design templates and clip art and fonts and things, but wouldn't it be cool if customers could look at that? So this right here, this is Art Portal, and this is not the final version, but Art Portal is a feature of our GraphicsFlow Pro plan. And Art Portal gives you this Art Portal with your branding, your logo, your form. Customers can go through and search through all the designs. Let's say they needed to do a youth retreat design for a church group. Search through all the designs. They can click on a design. They can comment on that design. Go over here and say, hey, I need this, change this to this, this to this. Add that item to a cart, and then they can go in and check out. And so once they have that item in their cart, what's really cool is they have the ability to go in and check out and submit that as an art request. And that's one of the really cool parts about this technology is it's self-service. And so when they made a comment here, it says there's a comment, and they submit this in their form, you're getting almost like an order coming into your GraphicsFlow account that says, hey, there's an art request. You can click on that file, localize it real quick in Corel or Illustrator, pop it back to them as an art approval. How convenient is that? And the part that I'm excited about is eliminating that whole dysfunctional process of sending clients up to the internet to peruse through all these websites and Pinterest and Etsy and Custom Ink et al. To try to come up with their own ideas. You're making it convenient for them, and you're utilizing the best depository of production-ready artwork for personalization and apparel decoration in the industry, which is GraphicsFlow. So that's it. So you guys have officially seen the sneak peek on Art Portal, and this feature, our plan is to go live with Art Portal in mid-November. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to close the recorded portion of the webcast, and then if there's questions, feel free to pile them in. All right, thank you so much.